Hello, we're here with yet another one. But today we are switching sides and we're going to the AFC East and we are going to grade them, harshly judge them, and yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm super enjoying it and we're going to see what they're going to do here. You know what I mean? We're going to start off. Again, we're going bottom to top. We are starting off with the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots, I think that they had a strategy coming in that they wanted to get a little physical, and they started that off by getting Will Campbell at number 4. I bit into the hype that Armand Membu was getting at the end, and I figured that he was going to be the first tackle off the board. Turned out to be Will Campbell. I like Will Campbell a lot too. He has some quotes that are just absolutely amazing, and that plays a little bit of a part of it. And I think he does a really solid job. He's a pretty good offensive tackle. I know a lot of people were saying that the small arms were a big thing, and yeah, I don't think that that's a really big concern in my opinion. So seeing Will Campbell get drafted at number 4 overall, I think it's great. And I think I've seen a couple interviews and press conferences now that, you know, Mike Vrabel's going to let him do his thing, former Titans head coach. So I'm not going to lie, I'm rooting against him, but at the same time rooting for him because I did like Mike at his time here. He said he's going to let Will compete for it, and I absolutely respect that. I think Will Campbell is a very talented tackle, and I think you can't go wrong in that scenario. Okay, so the next pick they had was Travion Henderson from Ohio State. Overall, you could say this was a little high, but considering Judkins, I think went right before him. You get him right there, get him right then. I respect that pick, and I really like it too. Right? I know they have Ramondre Stevenson. At least I think they do. I could be losing my mind now, but he's a solid number 2. I believe they had Antonio Gibson too, but he's going to be a solid number 2 if you want to split those carries up. Heck, even turn him into being the starter if that's the case. And Travion Henderson absolutely can be that guy. He's an absolute freak of nature, and he looks really, really good at Ohio State. So I think that overall this is a really solid pick. I think that Mike Vrabel's going to be super happy with how physical he is. And of course, you get an offensive lineman to protect Drake May, and now you got a running back that you can protect as well with a good heaping of run blocking. Yeah, love this pick. Love it a lot. Next pick, Kyle Williams, wide receiver out of Washington State. I'm jealous because I wanted him to be a Titan. And the reason is because he has a little bit of chemistry with Cam Ward, and I thought that would be super cool to have him on the same team as Cam Ward. But overall, Kyle Williams, he does the things that you want him to do. He does make contested catches, but he really is more of a kind of a route running kind of guy. I think he's going to do very well in that offense. And I mean, again, this whole thing is about let's get Drake May some help. I have to love that, right? I think they could have made a couple other moves at wide receiver, and we'll get to that here in a little bit. But overall, the Kyle Williams pick pretty solid. Next pick, they went with a center from Georgia, which was Jared Wilson. Jared Wilson does what you need him to do, and I don't think that you're going to have any issues there. I think that he's going to be just fine. I like this pick. Again, we're protecting our quarterback, we're protecting our new running back. No shade whatsoever, and considering the fact that he came from Georgia, you know the guy can protect people. I know that they didn't have the year we expected them to have offensively last year, but overall, I don't think you're going wrong getting Jared Wilson. In fact, I think you're super happy about it. Craig Woodson, the safety from California, from everything I saw, he's an absolute cover specialist, and I love it. I love it for them. I do. Um, he's fine. Like I said, there's a few things to nitpick with them, but overall, I think they're just getting guys that they hope to develop because they know they're going to take a little bit of time to upgrade the team. And Craig Woodson is definitely a guy that you should have in that safety position. They have a pretty solid secondary starting off with Christian Gonzalez. So you're just adding to that and hoping Craig Woodson will develop into that kind of guy that you want him to be. And Vrabel has worked with people like Amani Hooker before, so seeing a guy like Craig Woodson that kind of does his thing, maybe not more of a hard hitting style like Amani Hooker, but can go up and make the plays that he can make, I think he's in really good hands in that case. Next up, Joshua Farmer, the D tackle out of Florida State. Now, I know that team struggled last year, but that is absolutely not Joshua Farmer's fault. He does a really good job of stopping the run. He does a very good job at that. So overall, I think you're really happy getting him in round 4. Uh, Honestly, I think I saw a lot of grades where he was like 5 or 6, so maybe a tiny bit early. But if you like your guy, you go get your guy. I completely understand that situation. Now, Braden Swinson in round 5, I thought that was a steal and a half. I think that's a really solid pickup. He's very, very good. Very, very good. Um, that being said, um, he does have a couple things that he's going to have to work on, and I think that's probably why he fell into round 5. But I think he's going to do a just fine job of getting off the edge and getting to that quarterback. Overall, you're just trying to really upgrade the front 7, and that's exactly what they did in this draft pretty well. And yeah, I don't think you're going wrong because, again, we talked about this in the last video. The more that these guys get that little bit of time and as all that other stuff, they might develop into the next big guy that we just hadn't heard of yet, and then they're going to go out there and show us all that we're idiots. And I think Braden Swinson could absolutely be that guy. Okay, Andres Borgales, kicker from Miami. Uh, though my new quarterback is from Miami, I don't know much about the kicker. But I'm assuming he did pretty well because he made a couple game-winning field goals. So overall, I'm sure he did a phenomenal job. Unfortunately, I'm not very good at evaluating kickers. But that being said, I don't think you need a kicker. He's pretty solid. At least it seemed for him in college. Seems like he can hit all the kicks that you want him to hit. Hey, can't go wrong with it. Round 7, getting Marcus Bryant, likely a guy that's going to be on special teams a lot. I like the pick. I enjoy it. I think it's going to be just fine for them. I don't think that they're complaining whatsoever. Yeah, nothing wrong with it. Julian Ashby, long snapper from Vanderbilt. I like Julian Ashby. I like Vanderbilt, but Vanderbilt sucked. No, I'm kidding. They were actually really good last year. But that being said, you're drafting a long snapper. It's a guy that's just going to kind of help your kicker and help your punter out. I don't think you're ever going wrong in that situation, and I like it. And the last pick for them was Kobe Minor from Memphis. I'm going to love that pick just because he is from Memphis, and I absolutely love the football team. Likely a guy that's just a special teams practice squad kind of guy, but overall, I think maybe he can show up and show out. I don't think that he's going to be anything spectacular, but at the same time, all I can do is kind of hope for him and hope that he gets it done. But yeah, overall, nice pick. Okay, and before I go, I should probably give this a grade real quick. I think I'm going to stick with a B plus. I think there were some things that I wish they would have tackled a little bit more. I think they should have kind of went receiver a little bit earlier, if they possibly could have, and tried to get one of those premier guys in round 2. But overall, I don't think it's a bad draft whatsoever. I think they did a phenomenal job. And it's kind of like I said, I don't think a lot of people are going to be getting Fs from me because I think everybody, tried filling the holes that they wanted to fill. And overall, it looked pretty solid to me. All right, let's try this again with the New York Football Jets. Starting off, we have Armand Membu, offensive tackle out of Missouri. I really like the Armand Membu pick. I think that he is a really solid pick. I don't think there's any complaints that you can get from that. It's kind of similar to what Dan Campbell did with his team. Started off with Panay Sewell, and the rest has been history with his phenomenal coordinators. And Aaron Glenn, it took him a little bit while to pick it up, so that's why my only little criticism on him would be that. But overall, I'm not mad at it at all. I like Armand Membu. I think that was a really solid pick that you could get in this situation. I think you're pretty happy to grab him. Next up with Mason Taylor. Mason Taylor looks really good. And with the tight end position that they have been kind of just on for the past couple years, I think that you're pretty happy to get him at round 2. I think Mason Taylor was a guy that could have snuck into round 1, so I really like that pick for them. But yeah, you have Justin Fields. He's going to be your new quarterback. So what you're doing is you're getting a guy that's going to help protect him in the offensive line, and then you get a tight end that's also going to try to help pass block and even go out there and get a couple passes for him. Overall, I don't think you're doing anything wrong with Mason Taylor. Mason Taylor is very versatile, and I think that he's going to do his job very, very well. Ray Thomas, cornerback from Florida State. I like him. He's very, very talented, very, very good. I don't think you're going to be complaining with what he brings to the table for you. Yeah, overall, pretty solid pick for them. Thing is, Florida State, like I said, Florida State was not very good, but at the same time, I don't think you can blame your team for that one. Um, that's just kind of how it goes sometimes. Sometimes you're the nail and sometimes you're the hammer. Thomas still performed where he could. I know their defense wasn't completely awful. Their defense was actually pretty solid. It was the offense that was really struggling. So seeing these guys go off the board is super refreshing to see, and that they're not just being held to their record. Next up, Arian Smith, wide receiver out of Georgia. He's a very fast guy, very talented player. But overall, can't complain about this pick at all. I like him a lot. I think that he's going to be able to be a guy that's a slot guy for them, just starting right off the gate. I know Garrett Wilson's going to be the number one now that Devontae Adams left. There were a lot of talks of trading, a lot of talks of this, a lot of talks of that. But you get Arian Smith in round 4, you just kind of hope he develops. Kind of similar to what they did with Amon-Ra St. Brown in year 1. You're just kind of hoping he develops and becomes that guy that you really like. And I don't think you can complain whatsoever with it. I really like that pick for them. Malachi Moore, safety out of Alabama. I thought he could have won a little earlier, so I was happy to see that they ended up getting him. Yeah, nothing wrong with that pick. I mean, he's a safety out of Alabama. You know that he got to work with Nick Saban for a little bit, and he's probably going to go out there and do his thing very, very well. I don't think there's anything wrong with this pick whatsoever. I really enjoy it. I think that the Jets are going to like him a lot. He's going to be able to cover those backfields that he needs to cover, and they're going to go out there and do their thing. Linebacker Francisco Moyoga. I probably said that name wrong, and I apologize, but a round 5 linebacker, nothing wrong there. A guy that you hope develops into the guy that you wanted to develop in. Um, yeah, nothing wrong with this pick whatsoever. Miami's defense at times did struggle, especially in the first half, but they were pretty good at clamping down in the second half, and I think that that's something that you want to see from them. But yeah, overall, I don't hate it. I like it. In the last pick, also from Miami, Tyler Barron. Again, that defense struggled sometimes in the first half, and then they just kind of clamped down and handled business in the second half. And Tyler Barron is another example of that. I like how quickly he gets off the line. I like how quickly he gets to the quarterback. But overall, I don't think he's the most premier edge. That's why you saw him fall all the way to round 5. I think that he's a guy that's going to take time to develop. Not the most impressive, but at the same time, I don't think you could complain. I think you're pretty happy with what happened there. Overall, Jets are probably going to get a B from me. I'm just going to go with a B. Overall, I thought there were some things that they needed to clear up. I know it is year 1 of a new regime, though, so I'm going to let them give themselves some time. I thought that they maybe should have gotten a couple things a little earlier, but overall, I think they're super happy with the draft, and I think they did address some issues that they needed. Okay, then. Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins, they start off with Kenneth Grant. It was a little early to grab him there, but I see what they needed to do. They do need some help on the defensive side. They got a guy that's going to be able to create problems on the front end for them. I know they had an edge rusher that really broke out last year. I think it was Ziegler or something like that. But Kenneth Grant is going to be able to do those things very well for them. I have no qualms with the pick. Just thought it was a tiny bit early. And I'm going to be honest with you, this is not one of my favorite drafts because there are issues that they needed to address that I don't think they did very well. But it's a nice start to get Kenneth Grant. Again, just thought it was a bit early. I don't hate the pick at all though. I think he's fine. Okay, so Jonah Savinier from Arizona. I don't hate that pick at all. Really, really solid guard out of Arizona. And yeah, I have no qualms with this. I have no qualms whatsoever with this. You got to protect Tua. Tua is has gotten hit hard. He has got beaten up. So you got to go get him some protection. You got to go do the job, and you got a guy that's going to be able to go in there, do that well, and beat him down. And yeah, overall, I like that pick for them. But yeah, no complaints with Jonah. No complaints with Jonah, absolutely. Okay, Jordan Phillips, D tackle out of Maryland. Kind of unlike Kenneth Grant, I thought Jordan Phillips fell, and I Getting him in round 5, I think, is a steal and a half. I think he's going to do a very good job over there in Miami. I generally enjoy him a lot. He's going to be able to get to the run very, very well. Fortunately, you pick him in round 5, so the odds are you just won't get to see much of him really starting off. But I think Jordan Phillips is going to be a guy that works his butt off and ends up being that guy that can take over that position that you need him to take over. I really like him. Getting him in round 5, I think it's a steal and a half. But hey, I think that he's going to turn out to be just fine. Okay, Jason Marshall, cornerback, Florida. I don't mind this. I don't mind this. They need a little bit of help at corner. I think I would have liked to seen them, address it a little sooner, but that's completely fine. I think Jason Marshall fills that slot role pretty freaking well. Obviously, it's going to take him a little bit of time, right? You're not picking him in round 5, expecting him to be a day one starter, but you're hoping he can do that. You're just kind of hoping in those cases. And overall, I really like Jason Marshall. Um, I don't. There's no qualms with this pick. There's no issues with this pick. I just wish they kind of would address that one a little bit sooner. Now, next up is Dante Trader from Maryland. He's a good safety, and you definitely need to fill a safety role over there. The safety role over there has been a little bit of an issue past few weeks or past few years. And now you especially like you don't know what you're gonna get, especially because you lost a really big corner, or no, not a really big corner, but a really big safety in Javon Holland. You're not in love with Jordan Poyer. Yeah, I think that this pick again another pick that probably could have been made a little bit earlier um, for them, but I'm not gonna crap on Dontre Trader. I hope that he does very well for them. Overall, I don't think it's a horrible pick, and I think that they're happy getting him here. Ollie Gordon in round 6, I would love this pick if he didn't kind of fall off last year, and that's just unfortunate for him. But getting him in round 6, he has a talent of a second and a first rounder. So if he finds himself and gets himself in there, I'm gonna love this pick. I'm gonna absolutely be in love with it. I don't hate it, but to be fair with Ollie Gordon, the issue for him becomes that now you have Jalen Wright, you have Devon Achane to try to beat out. So it's gonna be a little difficult for him to even see any playing time year one. But if he turns out to be the guy that we thought he could at Oklahoma State this year, but just didn't pan out, this is gonna be the steal of the draft right here. Okay, another guy that has potential to be the steal of the draft, Quinn Ewers. The reason why I say that is because Quinn Ewers had first round talent at points, and he is a super solid quarterback. And it's kind of like a guy said on the NFL Network just the other day, is that somebody was throwing these guys the balls. And it was absolutely Quinn Ewers. I know Arch came in and played a little bit better, and I think that that's part of the issue for Quinn, is that he got overshadowed by his backup. And in those cases, it's just kind of rough for them. But again, just like with Ollie we just talked about, I think Quinn has every potential in the world to be the number one option there. And I think that you're completely happy with what he got there. Uh, I like Quinn Ewers a lot. He's one of my favorite players, and I was kind of hoping the Titans would get him until he started to fall off a little bit, and I completely understand why he did. I just personally don't agree with it. And last but not least, Zeke Biggers. There's not going to be a lot I talk about here, but a D tackle out of Georgia Tech, he has so much potential. Getting him in round 7, I think, is honestly pretty nice because I thought he could have been a guy in round 5 or even higher than that starting off the college season. And again, I kind of like what they're doing. They're going off potential. I wish they would have addressed some needs early, but yeah, this team has a lot of potential. So it has a potential to be an A minus, but I'm going to stick with a B minus just because there's certain issues that they need to address. But it's not an awful draft. I don't think anybody had a crappy draft. I think there were things that they needed to tackle a little bit earlier, and especially at the offensive tackle position. But hey, I'm not going to complain. I like what they did. It's just a B minus for me. Now, we're finally here. We are with the Buffalo Bills and the reigning and defending AFC East champions for a few years now, and they were also in the AFC Conference Championship. Unfortunately, lost yet again to the Chiefs. That just sucks, but it is what it is, right? Um, but let's get into their draft. Let's quit complaining about losing to the Chiefs. Let's get into their draft. They get Maxwell Harrison out of Kentucky. I love the pick for them. Now, Hairston is super quick. He's going to be a pretty solid corner for that issue. And I'm noticing just kind of looking at their draft and everything like that, they went defense completely because they're feeling pretty confident on their offense. And honestly, they really should. I like Maxwell Hairston though. Um, he got him at number 30. He was climbing up draft boards. So honestly, he probably went a tiny bit early here. So that's the only knock on it. But overall, I like Maxwell Hairston, so I like the pick at number 30. You came up, you got him, and yeah, I don't think you're going anything wrong here because he really had shown that he could be pretty solid. And yeah, I don't hate the pick at all. I think that it's going to end up being a pretty solid pickup for them. TJ Sanders, D tackle, South Carolina. I really like this one too. I love a lot of the D tackles. I mentioned Kenneth Grant went a little early. TJ Sanders, I thought, went a little late. A tiny bit late. Not very much. I thought he could have been like a top round two, but with all the people that fell, this became fair. Um, I like TJ Sanders. South Carolina, man, they made a push at the end of the season, and he was a big part of it. That man was a space eater, and he got to that quarterback. He got to that running back. He is a very, very solid player. I think Buffalo's going to love him, especially because they're trying to get some help at the edge as addressed with the next pick. I think that they're super happy to get TJ Sanders here in round two. And yeah, I like it a lot. I really do. Overall, no hate from me. No hate from me whatsoever. I think TJ Sanders is fine. Landon Jackson, the edge from Arkansas. Um, Other than Rich Eisen calling it Arkansas, which made me pop. I'm not gonna lie to myself. I like Landon Jackson. I've watched a lot of his film, especially because I'm a Tennessee Vols fan, and that didn't go well. He's really good at getting to the quarterback. He's really, really strong. He's really, really big. He's really, really fast. I love him going to Buffalo. I thought he went late in round three. I thought he was like a middle of the road round two guy. So round three is fine. But I like Landon Jackson. He he is a strong, rough edge, and that is exactly what they need because Buffalo needs to try to figure out how to beat Kansas City, and that's why they're going defense. They're playing defense, and we're going to play it rough. Overall, I like the pick. I don't know if I'm absolutely in love with it. I do like it for the Bills, though. I think if he would have went, you know, if he would have went late round three, I would absolutely love it. I like it though. I think it's a good fit for him. Deone Walker, D tackle, Kentucky. Again, we're seeing the pattern here. We want to beat the Chiefs. We want to get to the Chiefs. We want to get to Patrick Mahomes. We want to put him on his butt. That's why we got Deone Walker. And Deone Walker is going to help you do that. Just that. And I like him. I don't, and again, I'm super positive about all these players because I really don't want to see any of these guys fail. Um, Deone Walker, I think that might have been a little bit early, but with Buffalo, I think that they needed space eaters. So getting him, I can completely understand why they did it. Um, Overall, not bad. Not bad. I don't think you're complaining at all if you're a fan of Buffalo. And yeah, yeah, it's just okay. It's just okay for me. I like him, but I thought he was a little early. Jordan Hancock here, cornerback, Ohio State. See, I like this one though, because round five. I like Jordan Hancock. He's unfortunately he wasn't the premier corner over there, but he's gonna be a guy that you can plug and play, and he's gonna do a lot of special team stuff, and he's gonna be able to play like slot corner when you need him to. I think that he's a guy that's probably cornerback four on your roster, but I think that this is a guy that can plug and play if injuries happen, and I don't completely hate it whatsoever for them. Um, you know he came from the national champions. You know he knows what hard work is. Yeah, not bad at all. Okay, this is the one I really like for them, right? Jackson Halls, tight end from Georgia Tech, and the reason I like him so much is because one of the big things I have with Buffalo is that their blocking is fine, but the tight ends there, Kincaid and Knox, they're not the best blockers. So Jackson Halls is going to be able to be one of those guys that you can plug into those certain like areas to block very well because I've seen what he can do at Georgia Tech, and he's a very good blocker. I like that a lot for them. He's not going to be a guy that sees a lot of playing time as much as it sucks. Probably not even going to be a guy that catches a whole lot of passes, but he's a really good run blocker, and that's something I want to see more from Buffalo, especially with how they run the ball with Allen, Cook. I forgot his name, and I'm going to feel like an idiot later on about it, but I absolutely. Oh, Ray Davis. Yeah, but I like what he does as a run blocker. I think that one's a pretty solid pick. Dorian Strong, cornerback out of Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech had some really good corners this year. So I like the pick. I like the pick here in round 6, and I hope that he pans out for them. Um, yeah, uh, there's not a lot for me to say about this because again, we've talked about it so many times in the past few days with these round 6, round 5, round 7 guys that these guys probably won't see playing time year 1, but if they do, you're just happy because these guys aren't going to get paid that well. They're going to lose a lot of money, but really, if these guys end up panning out, you don't got to worry about it for a long time. And that's something that I think Dorian Strong can absolutely do because I've seen what he can do on the football field. You're kind of looking for a potential pick, and I like Dorian Strong here. Chase Lunt, offensive tackle out of Connecticut. Not going to be a guy that sees a lot of playing time year 1, but overall, I think you're pretty happy getting him here in round 6. He's a guy that's going to be able to do, again, run block, run block, run block. And that's something I want to see better from the Buffalo Bills, and Chase Lunt can help you with that. I mean, UConn took a big step in the right direction, and him as an offensive tackle was a part of that. I think that he's probably a guy that's going to see a lot of snaps at right tackle, if anything, but because Deion Dawkins is absolutely a game wrecker, but I think Chase Lunt could end up being that guy that plugs in and plays, and I don't think you're complaining about it whatsoever. Now, here's where I'm going to get a little critiquing with Buffalo. They get Caden Prather in round 7. I would have liked to see them get a wide receiver a little earlier, but I understand what the game plan was, is that we want to beat the Chiefs. Their offense, other than Josh Allen runs and James Cook, scared me a little bit. Keon, I think that he has time to develop, and I think you're going to be hopeful that that works. Khalil Shakir was a good surprise. They have a lot of decent receivers, but I don't think that you have a true number 1 just yet, unless you're praying and hoping that Keon becomes that guy. But Caden Prather from Maryland, he's just going to really be a kick returner. I can't. I'm not gonna crap on the guy. Just kind of wish they would have went a little earlier. I like Caden. I think Caden Prather's gonna do a just fine job. He's fast. He's really good. Overall, I'm gonna give them a B as well. I don't think that they kind of. I don't think that they went crazy here. I don't think that they cooked. Um, Overall, I don't hate it though. I understood the game plan. I understand what they're doing. But overall, it was just okay. There were certain things I wish they would have addressed a little earlier. The O line was just kind of but the defense definitely didn't need to be addressed. So I'm glad that they did just that. I would have liked seeing a little bit more help at wide receiver, but overall, it's just a B for me. I think they could have been a little better, but I don't hate it whatsoever, and I think that they're going to be pretty happy with what they got here. And again, this could be one of those drafts with the potential of an A. I think everybody has that hope potential of an A, except maybe New England. I think they're just kind of hoping that we just start progressing and progressing. Maybe even the Jets in that case. But overall, I don't have any issues with any of these guys' drafts. I just think that they're all kind of in the B area, and I don't hate it whatsoever. But with that being said, we have 6 more divisions to cover and complain about and roast and yeah, make a lot of people mad. And that's going to be fun, right? But overall, I appreciate you for stopping by. If you did, and you haven't already, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I have a Twitch channel as well that will be in the description below. Make sure you give that a follow. I do appreciate you all so very much. I thank you all for being here, and I'll see you all next time.